talking love and monsters. This one is directed by Michael Matthews and stars Dylan O'Brien, who you may know from the Maze Runner movies and also the Teen Wolf TV show, Jessica Henwick, who you may know from the Iron Fist TV show, and of course Michael Rooker, probably best known these days from Guardians of the Galaxy. Now, this has been described as Zombieland with monsters, and to be honest with you, it really is, in more than one way. So, what we have an end of the world scenario where there has been essentially chemicals released that essentially make all bugs, lizards, kind of like cold-blooded creatures ultimately mutate into huge monsters, and the humans have been wiped out apart from like the remaining kind of 5%, all of which live in underground bunkers. And Dylan O'Brien's character is one such survivor living in a bunker, but he is somewhat of a kind of a beta male, not really one of the kind of the warriors. He's more of stays and does the cooking and stuff like that. But he is desperate to try and reach his long-lost girlfriend, who is in another camp 80 miles away, because everyone else in his own camp is all paired up and he feels lonely. So he decides he's going to trek across the land to try and get to this other encampment, and discovers there are various monsters and various kind of like even allies up on the world that will either help or hinder him. So that's all I'm going to say about the plot. Let's talk about it. Yeah, so it very much is like Zombieland. The plot is very similar. There are even some elements here. For example, he is kind of writing like almost like rules, so to speak, very much like the kind of your Zombieland, where you have your kind of your double tap and all of that. You know, we have Michael Rooker's kind of going through various kind of different do's and don'ts, to the point where it's just so very similar to Zombieland in a lot of ways. And it's kind of has this kind of like horror comedy element to it as well. But nonetheless, it doesn't mean to say that it isn't worth watching because it's so similar, because it is. I mean, Dylan O'Brien is, you know, in Teen Wolf, right? I used to watch that show, and you know, his character is very similar to like it is on there. This kind of goofy but very affable kind of like guy, and you know, he's very very relatable kind of lead character, and I think he has some good comic moments as well. The thing that struck me about this film is it seems such a high budget film. Like, this is a cinema-worthy film, which I suspect it may well have originally been made for, and has ended up, you know, on streaming because of the pandemic. But the kind of production value and the effects here are very, very impressive. And you know, we see a variety of different monsters. The movie actually has a lot of kind of references from other, particularly monster films. Tremors, Clash of the Titans kind of spring to mind. They're not overt, but I think if you are a fan of monster films, you'll definitely be picking up these subtle, well, not some aren't so subtle, but these little nods to various kind of different monster films. We hear someone talking about, you know, a massive lizard that was kind of obviously a comparison to Godzilla, so to speak, but there's even kind of other references as well, which I kind of enjoyed. So it's essentially a kind of a road movie peppered with some emotional moments, which I think work very well, and lots of kind of like very kind of well rendered monsters and stuff like that. And it's an enjoyable, fun adventure, great special effects with a likeable, affable character. And maybe what doesn't work for me, I think this movie relies very much on conveniences. I won't give anything away, but there just seems to be things that happen that just seem particularly convenient. One example is like we have a human antagonist, which is kind of introduced right at the end. And it just seems very convenient timing and things like this. And there's just a couple of things that happen, both positively and negatively in the movie, that just seem that it's just a little bit too convenient in a lot of ways. I think the love part of it is also a little bit misguided. The movie, it tries to have a message where it's telling you how people change over time. And that's all well and good. But I've got to be honest with you, I think Jennifer Henwick's character is not particularly well developed or even likeable in some ways. And I feel she has a very shoehorned in action sequence, which I wasn't so keen on, to be quite honest with you. So I've got to say, this movie though, it's a lot of fun. I mean, it certainly opens up a world where you'd want to see more of. You know, because it is just such a kind of like so many possibilities, and we even see there's variations in how the kind of these monsters will kind of act and things like that, but with humans and stuff like that, which I think was a smart move. And then there's even kind of a technology, like a robotic technology that's kind of introduced as well. So there are so many things here that I feel that warrant a continuation with this story. And I have to say, the end of the movie, Dylan O'Brien's character goes in a very good arc, and I have to say, even though it's quite extreme, because he's painted to be a guy who freezes up in frame, but not a coward, because there's an instance, for example, at the beginning of the movie, where he's in his original bunker, and he's staying behind because he can't really fight, but he still tries. Ends up freezing and kind of not being a help, but he's not a coward because he at least tries, although he fails. So I quite like the kind of the subtlety with his character. I thought that was good. A lot of fun though. I really enjoyed it. Great special effects, great monster designs. 7 out of 10. Have you seen it? What did you think of it? Leave me a comment and I'll look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.